So the doctor said that the itch would go away after a couple of weeks, but the rash might be permanent. It might leave some scars. Oh,
Mm,
hey,
mm, mm.
Hello, welcome to
hey.
episode 13.
Well, I really hope your mom gets well soon.
Thank you.
Welcome to episode 13 of the Zero Strategy Podcast. We hope you are well and keeping safe. We have a lot to talk about this week. Not so much about Kibble's rash, but we can. I guess if it comes around to it.
I mean, I thought you were friends and that you cared.
So I am joined today by my fantastic hosts. First of all, just Grog,
Hello.
the mighty Kibbles,
Hey.
and Java.
Hello, I'm now Java with a hat.
Java with a hat. That's right.
I've rebranded.
Hat Jack.
So, if you've ever watched the show before, we always start with a brief catch up with everybody and see how we get on. First of all, I do want to just say though, if you have questions for us or anything at all that you think we should discuss or you want to talk about, pop them in the chat at one of us or at the podcast, and we will try and get to it. So, yeah, I mean, anything you want to discuss, just please let us know. First of all, Grog, how's your week been? What have you been up to, man?
Week's been pretty good. I've been having a lot of fun still with Warzone. Got a few more dubs this week, and it's been going good. I did. Lauren and I played a new game on Saturday for the first time. Well, new for both of us. We played Monster Prom. So we're gonna try and stick to doing every other Saturday, just the two of us, and we're gonna do like sort of like arcade couch co-op-y kind of games. So it went really well. I had a lot of fun with it.
Nice. Kibbles, I know you did. Did you do a watch party thing?
Yeah, I did my first watch party yesterday.
How did that go? What happened?
Well, first of all, I picked The Women in Black, that horror movie with Daniel Radcliffe, and
Mhm.
I thought I remembered the movie. It was bad. So, but the watch party went well. Seemed to work just fine. So it's pretty cool. I'm excited. Going to be doing that every week now.
That's actually
Now, was this the kind of thing where like you had your overlay, like your webcam still there, and you were participating, or it was like full screen, just the movie and chat,
So
then was like
what
on a
you have to
sidebar?
do is through like I use slobs, so I have to go full screen webcam. I can't record desktop audio because that'll avoid both types of DMCA takedowns related to
Okay.
it, and then it streams it straight to your channel. So then when you view it, because I opened it in another tab so I could see what it looks like, you've got the movie here, the webcam up there, and then chat to the right.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
The only bummer is you can't really tell the difference between the volume of the movie and the volume of your own microphone. So, I
Mm.
mean, apparently people could hear me, but I had no idea.
Yeah, I couldn't watch it, unfortunately. I actually would like to talk about that a little
it's-
bit and kind of go into that just a little bit, if you don't mind, because I don't know much about it, so that'd be cool. And
Other
also
than that, just Warzone.
just Warzone. I've seen you do a lot of Warzone lately.
Oh yeah.
Java, how has your week been? What have you been up to?
It's been pretty good. I got a hat. I played a lot of Valorant. I played a lot of Final Fantasy. We did a raidathon in Destiny 2 last night, which was a blast. We
Saw
went
that,
back
yeah.
and ran through Prestige Year 1 raids all the way through Year 2. And a ton of shenanigans with that. But yeah, otherwise, gaming and enjoying the sunshine. I went outside for like a whole day. I took a day off on Thursday and just sat in the sun. I got sunburnt. It was beautiful. It was great. It was a great time.
Good stuff. Good stuff. All right. Well, yeah. I mean, we had some topics, but I want to talk about watch parties a little bit, and I wish I'd thought of this sooner. But you know what? It's fine. So, Kibbles, do you want to just give us a brief rundown of what a watch party is, how it works, and
Yeah.
the various terms and conditions of it and stuff?
Yeah, so basically Amazon Prime, if you have Amazon Prime, you can stream these videos. It's only a certain number of them, not like the entire catalog from there, but they've got a bunch of TV shows, a decent amount of movies, like 20 or so, and then 17 seasons of Hell's Kitchen.
Damn.
Yes. I wasn't sold until the Hell's Kitchen.
Yeah.
I'm all on board now. I'm all
Yeah.
on board now.
The bummer is that you have to have, the person that's watching has to have Amazon Prime, otherwise they can't view it, which,
Okay.
I mean, that makes sense, but the thing that really sucks is only people in the US can watch. So anyone
okay.
outside of there can't view it at all. So they'll get this screen that just says, "Oh, log into your Amazon Prime." And it just
Well, you know what,
so
Condi, we had a good run, but I guess we can't do watch parties.
Yeah, I mean, I knew you were doing it, and I didn't even try because I knew I wouldn't be allowed to get in. But yeah, it sucks. Hopefully, it's something they roll out. So
Yeah.
your viewers have to have Amazon Prime. I assume, obviously, linked to the Twitch account, so they have to be a Twitch Prime member to join the stream.
And the ones that don't apparently just sit there and see my face and only hear my microphone and nothing else.
Right.
I mean,
Can't
that's the
imagine
kind of
that's
content I'll watch.
Oh yeah, pure reaction.
That's a bit odd. I mean, like, I understand. I don't love it, but I understand why for the licensing restrictions for regions and stuff that has to be necessary, I guess, to a degree, because there's no way you're going to walk back just for Twitch. All of the licensing that's in place that also already affects, like, HBO and YouTube and all of these other companies. But yeah, I mean, as Addy and Chad pointed out, it's so kind of shitty because it would be such a huge market opportunity, just for Twitch in general, and for channels to engage fans. But I don't know. I mean, the alternative is, I guess, you could probably find like stuff that is open licensed that like wouldn't be able to hit with a DCMA, but like everything that's open licensed usually sucks. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
To kind of combat this, because I'm gonna start doing these every Saturday on the mornings, just because it seems fun. And then got a couple new people in there from it, which I was surprised. I thought it would really
really?
just be the core community coming in. And but the way I'm gonna kind of go around this is have people submit YouTube clips, and then we can have like a community night every now and then in the Discord, because you
Oh,
can't
that's
stream
cool.
movies on Discord because that's illegal. So something legal.
Fair. So does it have its own directory on Twitch? Like, when you pick a game directory, there's a
instead
watch
of
party.
showing you as live, it says watch party in red. Yeah.
Interesting.
It's interesting. And it the only other thing they said, when you like click it, it gives this little pop-up saying none of these metrics will count towards your partner. Like,
Right. Oh, interesting as well. So it doesn't kind
Yeah.
of, like, the stats won't affect you
right.
towards
You
like
can't
affiliate
do ad
or...
revenue. It didn't say anything about bits. I know when they first were talking about it, it was no webcam, no microphone, only the video. You can't get bits, you can't get subs, you can't get anything. And then they changed it, because when that first came out, I was like, that sounds like the
You're
dumbest
basically
thing ever.
hosting.
Who would want to do that?
Yeah. I remember reading about watch parties and thinking it sounded really cool until they were like, yeah, it's basically just a plug-in for your stream. You don't talk. Your webcam's not there. Like, what? Why? Like, anyone that already owns Prime could just watch it on their television, or why are they gonna? Yeah. So I'm glad they changed that at least.
Yeah.
Dude, I think it's a really cool idea, and I hope that they expand on it and it becomes more and more prevalent. Even if they had certain content that was just open and you didn't have to be a Prime member or whatever. Like, I don't know how many times you felt it, but there's so many times I'll be watching a movie or watching TV and I just think, like, this would be better with chat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like having a Twitch chat there. It's why I like watching big events on Twitch and stuff as well. Although sometimes the chat can be quite horrible, but like it's sometimes just nice to see a Twitch chat and you get so used to it. I hope that's something that they do extend and make more of a big thing. Because I mean, like, you've seen, like, Tim the Tatman had Thursday Night Football, where he just watched football with his chat, and that was obviously seemed to be pretty successful for him, and everyone's happy because they're getting exposure and advertisements. So yeah, it's hoping, I'm hoping that something like that does continue. So your plan to do this like as a regular part of your content now?
Yeah. I figured probably do it Saturday mornings before I start my normal stream, and do like some movies some week and then binge some shows other weeks, because they have Eureka on there and I haven't seen that in apparently 15 years. I didn't realize it'd been that long.
Well, and it's also a nice change of pace because, like, it allows for a type of engagement that you wouldn't necessarily get on the channel. Like you figure any channel that isn't just chatting, people are watching and they're reacting to what's happening on stream, and there's conversations that are happening as sidebars to like what's actually happening in game. But usually there's like people are riffing on what's going on in the gameplay, and there's only so much that you as the the stream provider can do to like both focus on the game and focus on chat at the same time. With something like this, you could kind of almost dedicate your entire focus to chat, and then it can kind of be like everybody collectively is reacting to that content, almost in like a Mystery Science Theater 3000 kind of like. If you wanted to, I mean, you could, you could have a lampoon night where everybody's gonna like just riff on, and kind of like roast the show or the movie, which is kind of fun, which you couldn't quite give it your all or your focus if you were trying to do that and play a game at the same time.
True.
I
So
do have one big gripe about it though.
okay,
I press pause, it doesn't pause it for everybody.
I was about to ask that.
Yeah, I pressed pause like near the beginning just to be like, hey, can you guys see this? Is it actually working?
And for it didn't pause for the viewers.
Nope.
So you were out of sync with them for the rest of the stream.
And then I like refreshed it, but I was in the same spot, and it seemed like we were in the. I don't understand what happened. It's very confusing. I was very confused.
Clearly, some kinks need to get worked out.
Yeah, I think anyone who was watching when it started, when I paused it, I was probably out of sync with them. But anyone that joined in after might have not been out. I don't know.
Yeah,
because I noticed like when I went back, the timer was still going for the movie. It's like, oh, it's still running. Oh,
that is what I was gonna ask, because I was wondering how you were balancing like talking to people and also like we've just finished Death Stranding not long ago, and the last like 3 hours of Death Stranding is a cutscene, and it took me about 6 hours to get through it because I kept pausing to talk because I didn't want to talk over it. Yeah, I guess that's kind of weird if pausing isn't really an option.
I think that was the saving grace of the movie that I watched, because it was it had a lot of pacing issues, so there was a lot of dead space where something would happen and then there'd be a solid minute of Daniel Radcliffe just going around going so then I could make fun of the movie.
Fair enough. All right, it works. Cool. Well, thank you. I mean, keep us updated on that, like how it goes and if they make any more changes to it. It's something I would definitely try if it came over to my area, but I guess we'll have to wait and see. So I put out a tweet earlier in the week just asking people for, anything that they might want to talk about or discuss or kind of topics that they think would be interesting. So we got a couple, which we'll kind of go through. The first one I've got is, I guess it's kind of a wide question, but I'm hoping that we have some ideas, some tips. So the question was how to grow your channel and your community after you've kind of established yourself that little bit, right? So after you've got your first consistent, maybe say 3 to 5 viewers, right? What is the next step? How do you kind of grow that? What do you do? Feel free to jump in, anyone that's got any tips or thoughts.
Clearly, we should be giving away 2080 Ti's because that's what chat was spamming earlier.
All right,
I don't know. I mean, yeah, giveaways are a thing. I mean, I think if you let's say just hit affiliate, or if you are nearing affiliate and like haven't quite cracked it yet, obviously in the past we've talked about like how we should avoid follow for follow, and people should avoid like doing things that are maybe not organically generating viewers or followers, but are simply just mechanically adding bits and pieces on. Giveaways are a thing. Giveaways should be within reason, though. Like I thankfully don't feel like I see a lot of people who are trying to gain momentum do like, hey, I'm giving away $50 or $100 thing that's worth like $100, like, because that could just be a problematic. People could swoop in and then grab the thing and then never come back again. I did do a giveaway when I was early into streaming and when I was streaming exclusively Destiny. I did some emblem giveaways. There was a guy who came into chat and was like, I have a bunch of ghosts behind me on the shelf here, and there's an emblem that came with one of the ghosts, and I had an extra one, but apparently it was one that was like hard to find, and I didn't really care who got it. I just wanted to give it away, so I was going to give it away to I was saving it for my 50th follow, but this guy asked for it, or he was like, hey, like my son's like really into the game, like I've been looking everywhere, but like it's out of stock. Like, is there anything I could do? And I was like, you know what? It's cool, man. Like, here. And I just gave it to him. And I didn't ask for the follow. I didn't ask for anything. I just gave it to him. I looked him up later on Twitch, and apparently he had his own nascent small channel, and he's like 18 and has no son. He
Oh
came
no.
he pitched himself, or actually he wasn't like 18, but he was like, I think even younger than 18, and like pitched himself like, oh, I'm looking for my son. Like, he was this dad, like, but like more of a dad, not like a teen dad. And he spun this narrative, and I like gave it away, and then I was like, whatever. I mean, I was frustrated, but like it happened. I think giveaways can be great, but like they don't guarantee anything. They're not going to solidify any sort of long-term engagement beyond just the person has their reward and then they peace out. And in my instance, I felt like, okay, well, whatever. Somebody just got a thing they were looking for. At least maybe that'll make them happy.
Yeah.
I think for me, um, like I had a request from my viewer base, which was very, 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 very small at the time, to start a Discord. I had been working on the channel for like 6 months at that point, had never started a Discord because I had never needed one. I either utilized Discords that I was already in, or I was already friends with people who had their own Discords, and I would simply join theirs because I played with them. So like I would be in Condi's Discord, or I would be in, so and so's Discord. But then people said, like, you need to have your own. Like, we want to be able to talk off stream. And it was kind of a wake up call for me that I just thought I never needed it because like no one was asking for it. And then once I did make it, people did start using it, and nothing has. The very first thing that made me so happy having done that was I was at work at the library, and I checked Discord on my phone, and there were 6 people in my voice chat on my Discord for something that I did not organize. They just got together and used the Discord to do a raid. That was awesome. That made me so happy because it for me, it was a demonstration that the community wanted to continue engaging one another outside of just live stream. And little things like that have shown me that there are ways to promote growth that aren't happening in real time while the channel is active.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Discord's a huge thing. What I'll say about giveaways, I've personally never done one. My sort of thought on it was giveaways. I've seen a lot where people will just join for the giveaway and then leave again. I guess my closest experience was in D1 doing trials carries. And it was like, I mean, I got higher average views then than I do now. That was years ago because I would just put free trials carries, exclamation point raffle in the title, and I would have, a ton of people, like 2/3 of the viewer base there, don't give a shit who I am or want to get to know me or engage with the community. They just were there for the raffle, right? And that's fine. That's what I wanted to do. I just wanted to play with a bunch of people, try and help some people, but I guess it's a similar thing, is that maybe a giveaway isn't always a good idea to do for growth, because maybe you'll get some people that come in, and I mean, I guess the idea is just to get the eyes on the stream, and then once they're there, make them feel part of the community and hopefully keep that person as a member of your community. But a lot of people will just peace out again, once they've either won or not won the raffle or the giveaway, whatever. I do think giveaways are a good thing to do to give back to your community.
Oh, for sure.
So I guess if you go into it with the mindset of, I just want to give something back rather than growth, a giveaway is an interesting thing. It's something I think I might look at doing at some point, but yeah, I would need some help with it because I've never done one. Discord's a huge one.
I used Stream Elements to do my giveaway. I did like giveaway of a couple copies of Spyro when I was playing that, and I think it was Stream Elements, and they had these little features in there where it's like they had to be active in chat within this certain time frame. I think they must have been following for a certain amount of time, so you wouldn't get the people who would literally just come in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's a good way of doing it.
It's good. I think like if you're doing the giveaway, do it to give back to the community, not to get more people, because it doesn't work.
For sure.
They leave.
Haj just brought up in chat, what about things like a 500 follower giveaway or like a milestone? I think that's exactly that's exactly
what I did that for. Yeah.
If you hit a milestone or you achieve like a goal of yours, then I think that's a good thing to do to celebrate. There's definitely, it's a culture on Twitch of celebrating these kind of things, and some people will do like 24-hour streams or maybe a giveaway. I think that's totally great. As long as you have the mindset of, you're not doing it for growth, you're doing it to give back, right? Which is the same
Yeah.
sort of thing. I think I maybe don't see this as much, but I have seen people in the past that try and get into like charity streaming because they want growth, and they'll spam everywhere, and maybe it's not for the right reasons because they think they'll maybe get growth from doing that, which shouldn't be the point of a charity stream. It's to give back.
Right.
So I think you have the same attitude with a giveaway. It's it's just there to say thank you and to celebrate. So I think that's a good thing. What about yourself, Java? Any thoughts?
I'm gonna take this in a completely different direction for growth, at least.
Pills.
Consistency. Like, straight, once you've got your foot in the door and you've got a rough idea of who you want to be, know like who you are and start building on that brand. Be consistent and like engage with your community, as you and Grog were saying. Like, be it Discord, be it through Twitter. Like, start keeping that contact outside of stream time, and as well, just like I said, once you got that foot in the door, consistency is really the key with streaming. Just always be live if you're able to, and like you're ready to do so. Be live as much as possible, and like be consistent with what you want to do and what you're producing content wise. I think that goes a really, really long way to keeping that momentum going once you've got your foot in the door and you've started streaming.
I agree 100%. And I think I felt at first that for me, what was going to be important was just simply if I wasn't at work and I wasn't engaged with like family stuff at home, I needed to be live. And that is and isn't the right mindset. It can work depending on, sometimes like luck can play into that. But I think for me, what worked was being live frequently, but doing it in accordance with the schedule. Because for me, what really helped was with the schedule, there was an expectation that I would be there at set times to provide content, and then it allowed people to make their own plans around it. And if you, so one thing that I learned working at the library is this: anytime that we had an event that was a one-off event, we could advertise it, a week in advance, 2 weeks in advance, 5 weeks in advance. It could be months in the making, leading up to this thing, promoting it. But if it's a one-time event, things come up for people. People can, miss what's going on. They might have their own emergencies or their own plans might change, and then that event has come and gone. The thing is, if you have a recurring event and you have it at set times, it almost allows people the leeway or the permission to miss an event, knowing that there'll be more in the future. So if you're like, all right, next Monday at 2 o'clock, we're going to do this thing, and then like 1 o'clock something rolls around, and then the person can't make it. Well, they're like, shit, I've just missed it. Whatever, I'm now on to something else. But if you say, all right, it's every Monday at 2 o'clock, well, somebody's like, all right, I can't make this Monday, but you know what? I missed it. I'm going to come back. And I think that having a schedule just allows both you and your community to like rotate around this set of expectations so that they don't feel the pressure or the FOMO of like necessarily I'm going to miss out if I don't make this thing. And it kind of takes the burden off them and you, where if you don't see somebody pop in the chat who is a regular, you're like, whatever, I'll see them in the future. Or, if you have plans, it it just allows people to set their own expectations, both as the content creator as well as the viewer. And sometimes, like if I'm running late, I always do try to post updates saying, I'm running late today, or we're going to start at a set time because something happened. Because I get messages now, like in like DMs, like, hey, it's 11:45. Where are you? And like that's the thing, is that if you plan to have a schedule, you should be consistent, because it shouldn't be the thing where you say, look at me, I have a schedule, I'm broadcasting it these days, and then if you're spotty and you don't follow through with it, it almost becomes like a breach of trust. You have said that, I mean, things are going to happen, emergencies will arise, but you need to be committed to whatever that is, and being consistent, I think, is just easier if you have a schedule.
Yeah.
And on top of the consistency with the schedule of streaming, you also need to, it's a good idea to get into content on other platforms, be that YouTube, Twitter, just little dumb videos or long form videos. You need to have consistency with that too. Because if you do, like I've done in the past, where you do a video and then you don't upload for 2 months, that's not going to help you.
Yeah.
But they feed
Big,
into each other.
big relate on that. Like I say,
This is going
I've
to be the
discussed this a
third
few
week in a
times.
row I've done a weekly upload, so
You've been crushing it, man.
yeah.
No, I mean, I mentioned this before, but yeah, that's the thing I'm trying with YouTubers. I'm trying so hard not to go back to my old habit of like upload and disappear for weeks. I'm trying hard to like make a backlog and get started. And
Yeah.
just what Ginger Hand was saying, and also in chat in response to Grog, like with being consistent and building that trust. Like some flex, as Ginger has, some flex is always healthy too, but that will come with the trust you build by being consistent. Like if you do have a day where you're like, hey, I was gonna play this game, but I'm really not feeling it, but I still want to hang out with you guys and play this game, or I just need a day off and a bit of a break. That's allowable. Like if you've built that trust and that relationship with your community, we're all human. We are going to have those days where it's like, I'm going to do something different than what was scheduled. But by being, for the vast majority of time, consistent and like communicating well with the community about what your plans are and sticking to that schedule, you will get that leeway. But as Grog says, it is important to also like stick to what you're saying and let people know that they can rely on you being there at those times.
Yeah, 100%. To kind of circle back, I guess the again, obviously it comes down to consistency as well, and I think other platforms making content for other places is huge. I've said it so many times. If you're starting off streaming, and it's a mistake I made, it's a mistake I think a lot of people make. If you're sitting there with, say, 3 to 5 viewers, and you're playing a game for 12 hours a day, and you're not seeing the sort of growth that you want to see from your channel, you need to branch out and go to other places, because the way Twitch works, if you've got, less viewers, then you're further down in the directory and it's harder for people to find you. Twitch does not have really any way for people to be discovered. It's very difficult. So, instead of streaming 12 hours a day, because I've seen people do it and they say, oh, we're on the grind for like a 12-hour stream every single day, but they're not doing anything else anywhere on any other platforms. And it's yeah, you might get some people come in and I guess eventually there will be slow growth, but making, instead of doing 12 hours, do 6 hours or 8 hours and spend the extra time making a video, put it on YouTube, put it on Twitter, put it on Instagram. Like, these platforms for the most part have an algorithm that people can find, right? YouTube, I think, is huge. If you can make content that people want for YouTube, interesting content, people can find you, and that's when you want to try and go, hey, by the way, I also stream, and get them over to the stream and grow that way. Somebody once told me, think of your YouTube videos like little employees that go out there and advertise for you. That's what they are, because you never know what's going to pop off. I can't tell you how many times a video's been recommended to me that's a year old, and I'll click it and watch it and be like, I like this guy, I'm going to sub to this channel or whatever, right? You make a video, if it's good and it's content that's worth watching, you never know when YouTube's going to push it to people, right? So I think, for me personally, that's a big thing. And I went down the mistake of uploading 45 minutes Let's Plays to YouTube for a long time that didn't get any views because it just wasn't there. It's about, and we'll get more into this in a second anyway, but it's about making content that is watchable, is relevant, and hopefully someone's going to find it, and that just builds on everything, right? I mean, how many YouTubers do you know that have huge YouTube audiences that come over to Twitch and immediately just, they have viewers and they have phenomenal streams because they've built that community already, and YouTube, it's still difficult, but I think it's easier, in my opinion, to grow on there.
Well, in chat, one of our co-panelists who's not with us today, Humps, as he pointed out, diversify. There's a lot to be said for that. That you by diversifying your interests across multiple platforms, you give yourself the latitude and the flexibility to just kind of ease back in one of them at any given time, so that you don't. I mean, I think the hardest part up front is just laying the groundwork so that you can have the diversity across multiple platforms, because it only takes you a little bit of time to make a new account on a different system, but it's going to take you a lot of time to build a backlog of content, like Java said, or if you're putting them out weekly, like Kibbles is, like, you need to have the content there. So it's not as simple as like, I'm going to go just sign up for TikTok and then that's going to be it. Like people are going to flock to me. You need to have stuff, you need to have ammunition to supply it with. But once you do have a flow and you have a system in place, if you needed to cut back a stream day because you're really under pressure, but maybe you use part of that day off or you use some of that free time to work on a bit of a video, then that video could go out on that other platform. That other platform sort of carries some of the legwork that you aren't doing on stream. Like it just, not only is it more opportunities and more points for exposure, but it's just more points for you to also just, have a little space to breathe. And the nice thing about other platforms is that, Twitch fundamentally at the end of the day, it's all about a live service. It's happening in the here and now. But with all of these other platforms, whatever they may be, TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, etc., these are things that can happen asynchronously. You can be asleep and people can engage your content. You could be on vacation and people can be watching you. You can, they are, they just allow you as a person to have some of your own space and time while still having a presence, in the larger world.
Yeah.
But I think having that, it's, oh my God, it's just like, I have a YouTube channel. I haven't uploaded in like 7 months. And that's a problem because I've been on that Twitch grind. And I need to cut back a little on that Twitch grind so I can actually like start, knocking out content more for YouTube. But
it's
hard to balance.
It is tough. And like similar to what you said, like I do sort of try and loosely plan so that if I know, okay, well, the wife's off this day, so I'm probably going to take this day off stream, I'll upload a video on that day then, and I'll have it uploaded the day before and schedule it to go live at, the time I would normally start stream or something like that, right? And like you say, it can take some of that pressure off by just getting that content out there. It doesn't have to be YouTube. Again, there's so many ways. If you get a funny clip on your stream, clip it, download it, upload it to Twitter, put it on Instagram. There's so many other things that you can be doing, and it doesn't have to be full-blown YouTube videos because it's hard to make a YouTube video. It takes a long time. But I do think that branching out onto other platforms. The other thing as well is that if your goal in the future is to try and do this full time and to try and make a career of it, right? What happens if Twitch just disappears tomorrow, right? Yeah. You need to have, you can't, putting all your eggs in one basket is a difficult thing. And I'm thinking about like Ninja or Tim the Tatman, right? Because they've got they're in a unique position where they've got such a huge audience on Twitch that they're able to make a YouTube channel and kind of grow that very easily. But I mean, Ninja, I don't even know, is he 12 million subs on YouTube? If Mixer disappears and Twitch disappears and live streaming stops being a thing, he can just keep uploading videos to YouTube and he'll be fine. Like it's having that base built up somewhere else. If live streaming disappeared for me, I could still keep uploading YouTube videos, and at least I've started that process of building that channel. So I do think it's a wise idea. But I mean, yeah, I think overall what we're basically saying is, consistency, whether that's, trying to have a schedule or at least have your audience kind of know what's happening. Discord, huge, interacting with your community off stream. Other platforms, I do think is a big thing for growth. The other one, which I did see brought up in chat, is kind of the bad word, the networking, which, we don't like to call it networking. It's just making friends, right? Is a big one. Get to know other streamers of similar size, maybe play similar games, and just get to know their communities, not in a gross self-promo kind of way, but in a just here's the thing. I don't think anybody ever made it on Twitch that doesn't watch Twitch. You know what I mean? Like, I think if you watch Twitch, I think you can tell when someone streams on Twitch that's never really watched Twitch before, right? And building up those friendships. I mean, that's how I met all of you guys, just through, browsing channels or we've played a game together or something, right? That's how you do it, and that's another huge thing is building out your list of contacts that way in a sense. Anything else we think for growth? Oh, is Discord? Oh no,
go ahead, Java.
Not to. Oh, Condi's broken the stream. We good?
We're good. Discord had a little hiccup there. Yep.
Oh no, Discord. Discord. Yeah, on the networking thing. I know we've spoken about this a few times, but it just comes down to the general concept of like you need to network, and I know networks are
Dirty
a
word.
word that
Yeah.
people would avoid because it's like, well, there's an aspect of being potentially disingenuous or like just get out there, get to meet people, get to know them, find people you enjoy playing with, and if you're like enjoying the time you spend with other Twitch streamers, enjoy the games you play together, if you're streaming together, that's going to come across to make better content than trying to like force playing a game with someone you don't get on with. So there was an intelligent point there, but I completely lost it as soon as Discord shit the bed.
I'm sorry. Yeah, but no, that's
No, it's all
that's a
good.
point of you know, there's people that you're going to gel with, people you're not going to gel with. There's a lot of people that I've done streams with where it's maybe just not the best kind of content. Whereas like I feel like for me personally, I'm very lucky to have met like all you guys, for example, and several other people that I know. If we get on stream together, the content's kind of easy. It just happens just by, you know, again, when you watch, you know, these big streamers, the content is mostly how they interact with each other and interact with the game. So yeah, you got to make sure you can have that good interaction on stream with other people that you're communicating with. I think so as I mentioned earlier, I put out a tweet looking for some topics, some ideas, some suggestions, and another one was kind of to do with motivation. So it was specifically, the question was about being motivated to make content on other platforms. But I want to take the whole topic of motivation as a whole. So just to start off with my point of view, like the things I've kind of said, a lot of my motivation to make content on other platforms is to keep content going out at all times, right? I hate the idea of being away for a day and there just being no content, because I have that mentality of if I'm not working, then I'm failing, and you know, I need to be doing something. So my motivation is always that I want to have more content for people to find, and that's kind of a lot of what motivates me. But at the same time, I hate editing, man. Like, I hate it. I am so like ADD when it comes down to sit down and subtitle a video. I just can't. I do it for like 2 hours and then I need to just leave and do something else. Like it's very difficult. So I kind of wonder what your guys' thoughts are on motivation, whether that is like, I know Kibbles does a lot of editing and YouTube content, or just in general for streaming when you're maybe not feeling it. Like, what do you do to motivate yourselves?
I mean, for me, so let's say there's a day that I'm just not feeling it. There's right now like a small stable of games that I've been playing. Granted, I at over the history of the channel, I've tended to skew towards one particular game while also sort of sidelining a few others. And some of them are because they're either a single player game or they're just a different style of game. Some of them are easier, for want of a better word, than others. Maybe they just take a little less mental brain power. Maybe they just don't require me to have that, like, you know, twitch dexterity, that twitch reflex, sort of like, you know, if it's a fast paced first person shooter, maybe I'm just looking for something a little slow. For me, if I'm having a day where I'm in a funk or I'm not feeling it, and if it's a day that I can convince myself to go ahead and still stream, you know, I'm not like depressed and to the point where I need to just take a day for myself, then what I'll do is sometimes just fall back on a game that is easier. Or in some instances, I have games where I have a regular stable of friends that I play with. And, you know, as Condi mentioned before, sometimes you have people where like, it just requires no effort to make content. It doesn't require any effort on your part other than just being present, you being yourself, them being themselves, and then magic happens. Um, I have had the fortune of knowing a bunch of people over the years where it's like it doesn't matter what mood I'm in or how the day is going or what game we're playing, but that I click with certain people, and just by sharing time with them, you know, the jokes are flying and we're having fun, and like it just brightens my mood, and all of that makes for great content. So sometimes knowing knowing what being able to put a finger on the things that pick you up, the things that lift you up, and the things that motivate you. Obviously, not every game is going to do that. We all get burnt out with certain titles, or maybe there's a competitive mode that's stressing us out for that period of time. Maybe that isn't the thing to play when you're in a funk or you're finding it hard to get motivated. Have different outlets for yourself, just as we talked about diversifying platforms for exposure. Have different platforms for engagement for yourself, not just for your fans in terms of what they would like, but give yourself some latitude so that you have something that you can go to if you just need to shut off your own brain a little bit, or if you need to lean on somebody else's shoulder because you have a couple friends, and whenever you pal around with them, they're just funny as fuck, and like you're just like, okay, well, this is no brainer. I'm just going to ring them up and see if they're free, and then we're going to play this game, and then I can relax. Sometimes that can be really helpful to just get out of bed if I'm feeling like, well, I'm now shackled to this schedule, and I want to do it, but I'm just out of sorts. Sometimes that can help.
For sure.
So I'll touch on this later on the next topic, but yeah, like 100% the most important thing is you're doing what you enjoy. Like I'll go more into that, but do what you enjoy and make sure like whatever you're doing, as Grog says, be it something competitive, be it something laid back, make sure that you're like making sure you're doing something you want to do is going to be a huge factor for motivation. And as well, a little thing like I try and keep mindset wise motivation, and I'll be downed if I can remember the exact quote. But for those of you that know Young Can, he's an emote artist. I'm gonna completely shamelessly plug him here, but I've got a lot of respect for the guy. He does his like his art streams and everything like that. And he had a great point one time where someone was talking about struggling with motivation. And as he said, he was like, well, motivation will come and go day to day. Like you can have high energy days, you can have low energy days. It is good to like roll with that motivation, but you've got to ground your driving force in something else. So that on those days when you're not got that high energy, you're not maybe got that motivation, as Rog says, you can phone up those buds and you can have a laugh with them and you can use that to push you up. You got to ground it in something more concrete and make sure that you've got fail safes to work around that to make sure you're still going towards what you want to achieve. Like if you have your goal in mind, if you're like, I want to stream, I want to provide some entertainment for people, I want to do this, I want to do that. Grounding it purely in motivation is going to be a very quick way to make yourself feel burnt out because we're human and our energy levels wane and wax day to day. So grounding it in something else, and having those like support systems in place and those alternatives for when the motivation is not necessarily just because we all know like you wake up some days you're like, you know what, bright and early I'm gonna have a big breakfast, I'm gonna jump on stream, I'm gonna stream for a bunch, we're gonna play some games, we're gonna end stream, I'm gonna work on some YouTube content, I'm gonna hang out in my Discord, whatever it might be. And then other days you'll get it where you'll be like, you know what, the weather's a bit miserable, I'm feeling a bit down. If you're purely grounded in motivation, that can really lead to burnout if you're only like trying to drive yourself off that on the days when you're not. So having it in something else is really a good way to try and shift your mindset, and that will really help you even on those days where maybe you're not feeling all the push. Maybe your friends will lift you up, maybe playing a different game will drive you on, and something like that can just like that slight shift in mindset can be a huge help.
Agreed. 100%. What I would say, getting back to kind of like the making content on other platforms, for me, I've been doing a lot on YouTube over the last few weeks, but that's a lot to do with the fact that we're in lockdown. I have nothing else to do with my time, and I know in a few weeks when I go back to the day job, I'm gonna struggle with it really bad, and I'm gonna have to probably cut an evening stream to devote to editing and things like that. Right now, I tell you what, the most motivated I can be is when I plan ahead, make a plan, and I get up early in the morning. This is a big thing for me personally, right? I wake up at, as early as I can, make a good breakfast, cup of coffee, and then I know, okay, stream is at this time, let's devote 3 hours to editing, have a small break, have something to eat, then go live. And then I know that 3 hours is bonus time where I would have been asleep anyway, right? Now, last week, I didn't really do much of that. I woke up at like 11 o'clock most days and then, panicked to make something to eat and get on stream to play with you, Java. But like, that is when I find it more difficult to be motivated. Personally for me, right? I work best in the mornings. And I feel like that's a thing. Like generally people have higher energy levels early for your motivation. I've been told this by so many previous employers that, like people have different energy levels throughout the course of the day. So you should, I think this was some management course I was on years ago. They showed you how to like divide up your work based on where your energy levels are. And I kind of learned that I'm at my best first thing in the morning. So I'm not going to go live at 7 a.m. or whatever, right? But I can get on and I can do a bit of editing. And I'm almost, while I'm in lockdown at least, I'm almost trying to treat this like a full-time job, because I basically have been full-time for the last 2 months, which has been like amazing. But it's so easy to procrastinate. So if I kind of force myself and just pretend like, okay, I'm going to the office, I'm going to edit for 3 hours, then I'm going to do the live show, and then, you know, whatever, hang out, make content, you know, post on Twitter, whatever, right? That's kind of the way I've been doing it, and that's helped me with motivation a lot. Is just to get up early and do it before the rest of my day starts. What about yourself, Kibbles? What kind of motivation tactics do you have? Because I know you do a lot of editing.
Decently similar. I find that when I wake up, if the only thing I do is make my food and go straight downstairs, I'll be in good shape. If I do anything else, if I sit on the couch for a little bit and start looking at TikTok or Twitter, I'm not going to edit that day. Like 4 hours are going to pass. So if I go downstairs and I just lock myself into it, then that's really what. Or sometimes if I in stream and I'm still sitting there, I go, oh, I might as well edit something.
Yeah, cut distractions.
So, yeah, it's really like you said, just getting in that mentality of this is work. I need to get it done. It's really easy to make excuses. Like
Yes.
For sure.
The last video I put out, I edited it 5 days before it was supposed to go live. So it was completely done. And I had this whole almost 2-week period where I was supposed to edit the other one. And I did all the editing yesterday after stream instead.
See, I think a lot of it is the type of content that you're making too. Motivation, I think, can come from inspiration a little bit. And if that sounds totally cheesy, I'm sorry. I apologize. But like my biggest gripe with editing, like I made a few Call of Duty videos lately, and I'm working on one right now. And the problem with that is that I'm going through hours and hours of footage, cutting out the bits I think are best, and then it's the mind-numbing task of sitting and subtitling the whole video, which takes, I mean, to do a 15-minute video, it's like 10 hours of subtitling. I'm slow at it, and I'm very fussy with how I want it, but it's a long time, and I find it really hard to motivate on that. Whereas, like, we did videos on this group channel. We have a group channel, by the way, YouTube, !YT in the chat. Editing videos for this group channel was something that when I was editing it, I thought, this is really funny stuff, and it's not just my stupid face and voice in it, it's like everybody's stupid face and voice, right? And it made me laugh so much editing it.
I have a dumb face, thank you, not a stupid face.
But like while I was making that content, I was laughing so much, and the more I saw, the more I thought like, oh, I could do this, and this would be funny, and this would be funny, and seeing it come together. There was a night where I was just up to like 2 a.m. because I couldn't stop. I just was like, I want to get this done because I think this is going to be so good. And I kind of took a little bit of that over to my own channel as well, where we just did the Scriblio video, which was something that I decided I'm not streaming today. I'm going to film this. And we specifically sat down and organized it and filmed it. And it wasn't something that I'd already seen because I streamed it, and it was gameplay. It was something that we recorded specially and was a bit different. And that kind of helped to motivate me a lot as well. So I think a lot of it is, you know, if you're not motivated, try switching up the content and doing something a bit different. That for me made a big difference. But I don't know. I know, again, you do a lot of stuff separate to you, like your gameplay stuff, Kibbles. So I think that's an important thing when it comes to motivation for sure.
Well, and in chat, Dennis and Ginger and a few others are having a conversation that I think is really important, which is about, we've talked about being consistent in terms of like exposure, but there's also a consistency in terms of like staying motivated. So Dennis pointed out in chat, like, you know, he celebrated 3 years of playing guitar recently. And before, you know, it was hard to stay on it, but he said he'd practice at least 2 minutes a day, you know, and Ginger's doing like a drawing a week. Like setting a goal that is achievable, but a small goal, and then just maybe amping it up over time. That can be a great way to stay motivated, because practice any skill set, if it's people skills, if it's the arts, if it's managing content, whatever it is, everyone needs to practice, and everyone can benefit from focusing on just slowly perfecting their craft. And the only way to really do that is to just take little chunks out of it here and there so that it becomes effortless later. Before, I used to have, I didn't have a good workflow for getting the stream started in terms of like, what materials I needed. Did I have something to drink ready? Did I do my sound checks already? Did I do this? Did I do that? Did I make sure the dogs were put away? Like, there's lots of little things now. When I'm getting ready to stream, it's like it all just happens systematically. Like I've built in the muscle memory so that I have it has come easier because I've gotten the practice down. And there's lots of other little things that I still need to work on. Like I think I am pretty good at editing, but I've moved to a new tool set that I'm not good with, and I need to teach myself how to use that more efficiently or just use it at all. And cutting out distractions can be helpful for staying motivated, because what I've done is I have, if you do any sort of content creation or you're streaming, there's a good chance you have more than one screen, you have more than one monitor. And what I've tried to do is I've had like my central monitor here, and I'll be trying to work on an edit, and I'll have someone's Twitch channel that I don't really get to follow that often, or someone I'm moderating for, and I'll have it on the other screen. And sure enough, I don't end up editing because I'm too engaged in someone else's Twitch channel, or I'm too engaged like by something else, and I get distracted really easily. And knowing that I need to take action to cut that out, it's hard though, because it's like it means reworking my entire mental process in terms of how I approach it and cutting out those things at the start rather than trying to do it midstream, because it's really hard to make that shift once the distraction's already there. But yeah, I mean, you could make a schedule for yourself that isn't, my schedule for content creation as it deals with people outside of the house, but it could be a schedule for you, like just carve out little pieces to say, okay, even if you find it too stressful to actually make it a proper schedule, just say, okay, well, before I stream, I'm going to practice this thing. Just before I do this act, I'm going to do this other little thing for however long it takes and for however reasonable it seems, and then just slowly build on that. It's hard to teach yourself new things. I mean, it's like, anyone who's ever tried, a new diet or tried to work on a fitness regimen, we are creatures of habit, but building new habits is hard. Once you can develop a habit, it can be easier to perpetuate it and grow it, and see it expand to the point where you can look back with pride and say, I'm celebrating this many years or this many weeks of success doing this thing. But adding a new thing to your repertoire when you're already into either young adulthood, or in some cases for some of us pushing almost 40, like it's hard to work in when you already have significant relationships in your life, and you already have bills, and you have another job, and you've got all this other stuff. Creating new habits is hard because you then have to carve time out and take it away from something else. um, I would say just be realistic in what you try to do, and don't bite off more than you can chew, because otherwise I think it like then starts to slip into one of the things that we'll talk about later, which is burnout, where you try to burn the candle at both ends.
Yeah.
But
Well, I mean, that seems like a good time to move on, unless we've got anything else on motivation.
No, that was a beautiful segue. Let's go.
So the last topic, which is one that I kind of threw in because it pertains to me a little bit, is taking breaks and burnout, which is kind of an important thing that I think people need to know about if they're trying to be a content creator, being a streamer. So just to give you a brief rundown of my experience of this, I've experienced it a few times over the years. I've been on Twitch for a long time now, and it's very easy to get into this area of burnout when you have the motivation to be streaming all the time. One of the very earliest pieces of advice I received on Twitch was ABC, always be casting, right? Just be live as much as you can. And I had that mentality of like, oh, well, you need to get lucky to make it, but the more often that you're on, the more likely you are to get lucky and suddenly blow up or whatever, right? So I always had that mentality of like, I should be streaming as much as I can. And even now, I still kind of have the mentality of like, well, I need to be live, at least X amount of times a week, and I need to have a video done, and there's that, putting everything into it. It will burn you out eventually, right? We're all human. You can't work for a long time. It's something the last couple of weeks have really hit me quite hard. And I think a lot of it is lockdown, because I have nothing else to do with my time right now. And I feel like a bit of a waste of space when I don't do anything for a whole day. So I have the motivation just to feel useful to the world, to actually be doing some work. But it will burn you out really, really fast. And one little thing can just kind of throw you off. So I recently took a few days off, and I'm kind of coming back a little bit, but like baby steps. Like I'm doing small streams, and we just did a few hours this morning podcast, and I'm going to take the rest of the evening. It's very important to recognize when burnout's coming and to take breaks for your own kind of health and your own well-being, because again, we're not robots. You can't do this every day. And yeah, I just kind of wanted to get your guys' thoughts on maybe how you combat burnout or how you recognize it coming. What do you guys think?
So I've got quite a lot to add to this, because the start of this year I hit that burnout point hard. I've spent pretty much lived like by burnout culture for most of my adult life. I'm like, just go, 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 and then eventually you'll hit that wall and take a break and refresh and come back. Not a good way to do things, by the way. Completely terrible. But the thing I've kind of found is making sure that whatever you're doing is rooted in like, all right, how do I phrase this? My brain just drew a complete blank again. Right, yeah. I had this really great point and it just disappeared. I was like, yeah, so when you start out like as a new streamer, like don't overly invest yourself in a single game and like feel like you have to commit to that game to like build and grind it out. Because especially if you're going for a very saturated game, you're going to be like pushed down the directory. There's going to be a lot of people around you. There's going to be a lot of other people streaming that game. And if at the very core of it, you're not enjoying that and you're just trying to commit to continuing to do this same game over and over in the hopes of building consistency with it at the expense of your enjoyment, you're really going to hit that burnout quite quickly. And something I've really been doing a lot recently is moving more into variety and saying, right, when I stream, regardless of what game it is I'm playing, I want to play that game that day. Like I'm not searching for a reason to play it. I am like, okay, I want to play this game. I want to stream. I want to make sure I want to spend that time and create that content and engage with my community. I'm gonna do this game now and this game now and this game now, rather than. And I definitely got to this point with the game I was mainly streaming for about a year and a bit, which was Destiny 2, which was trying to search for things to do in the game to make content. And that was definitely a big thing that led down to a road for me feeling burnt out, because there was other stuff I wanted to do. Like I wouldn't stream as much, or the streams wouldn't be as good quality because I wasn't enjoying myself at the very core of it. And I think, hell, streaming is playing video games and hanging out with people and chatting at the core of it. There's a lot more to go on with it, but at the core of it. And if that enjoyment of the game and the time you're spending isn't there, that is going to be the number one thing that's going to lead you down the road to burnout. So, like, before you like get into streaming, or if you're getting into it, and before you hit that button and go live, make sure you're doing it because you want to have fun and you want to enjoy yourself, and never feel like you're forced to play something just because that's what you've been playing for a while, or that's what you think people are going to want to watch. Because it's the old adage of ultimately people will stay for you and stay for the way you create content. And I can guarantee, like, if you're enjoying yourself and you're having fun, you will put on a better stream than if you're not.
Yeah.
So.
Agreed. I mean, I hit the burnout wall hard end of last year, and I took a whole week off, which felt super, super weird to do. And then I came back, and I feel like I wasn't actually ready to come back. Like, that week wasn't even enough. And I came back too soon, and I could feel immediately when I went live, like, oh, this wasn't a good idea. Because, like, you've got to remember, it shows on stream. Somebody in chat said that earlier. It shows. If you're not having a good time, it's obvious, right? People are watching you. They're looking at your face if you've got a webcam, right? But, like, it's difficult to hide it, right? You need to make sure you're doing these for the right reasons. I mean, one major thing I started doing a while ago was turn off the viewer count, right? I'm not looking at it. I don't want to see it because it's distracting, and it can, if you're already starting to feel burnout and you maybe see, oh, I've got slightly less viewers than normal, it's going to just feed into it, make it worse and worse and worse. Definitely solid point about just doing it for fun, making sure you're having a good time and you're happy with the content you're putting out. Either you guys got any thoughts on burnout, kind of when you see it coming, what you do?
Well, yeah. Well, something I wanted, yes, but something I wanted to touch on first was springboarding off of what Java was saying, which um, kind of just goes back to something we talked about in a previous episode, which was just authenticity. Be yourself. The more you can just be yourself, be comfortable within your own skin, and just try to be genuine. It doesn't require nearly as much energy as opposed to putting on a persona, and that also means like putting on expectations for yourself. If you can just be mindful of what you're able to actually achieve. Everyone has goals. I know this is rambling a little bit, but everyone has goals for where they'd like to be, and everyone ideally may have a sense of where they are now, and the distance between where they are now and what those goals are. If people can take the time and the space to reflect on that distance and then know their own limitations and just be true to themselves in terms of playing the games you want to play because they're fun, not because they're the hot shit right now, or trying to do things that will create an easier path for you. I mean, like you could say, okay, well, I want to stream blank because it just dropped and it's the brand new thing. But like, if you're only doing that because you think you're going to see growth with it, you're also going to be in a packed directory, and if you're not having fun with it, that shows on stream, and all of these things have ripple effects. So like, it 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 just you're making your work harder for yourself if you're not being true to yourself, and respecting your own abilities and your own limits. And I think knowing your limits is hard. It not just for streaming, but for all things. And it's going to probably take periods of burnout or periods of stress, and periods of failure to recognize what those limits actually are. Some people, in chat are saying, 2 to 6 hours is a good time for streaming. 4 to 5 is a sweet spot. Um, some people thrive in a long stream. Some people thrive in a short stream, and then maybe they can use that energy to be productive off stream with like creating content that will be, viewed elsewhere. Um, really just try to dial in what's working. You could try a long stream, see if you really thrive in that, and if you have like, if your chat is very engaged, maybe that's what you can make the most of. If you're having very little chat, maybe you do that other content. It's going to take experimentation. I guess part of the mistakes that we can all run into is feeling like taking any one piece of advice and treating like gospel. None of us are 100% right in what we're advising here. All of us
Well.
have come at this well, unless, but like, you know what I mean? Like there is no one diet that's going to work for all body types. There's no one exercise regimen that's going to work for all people. There's no one bit of advice that's going to be successful for everybody given their circumstances. You're going to have to experiment and be flexible, and most importantly, be forgiving of yourself when you fail. Um, Something that helps keep me motivated and helps me avoid burnout is I go to therapy on a weekly basis for my depression, but I also have slowly created and populated a group of very close friends that I can reach out to. And by having a support network where if I'm in a bad way or I'm not feeling good about the channel, people who are already close to this kind of content, I reach out to them and talk to them about what I'm dealing with, because I could talk to someone to get advice or to get help in a general sense. But if they don't understand Twitch or Twitch culture or streaming, like that might not really do a lot for me because they will be like struggling to try and grasp what it means. But having people that are already acquainted with the culture and with this environment can be helpful, because it can stave off burnout when you have the opportunity to just vent and talk and power through those things that are troubling you in a way that feels safe and approachable. So have a network of people that love and support you, or people that you just admire that have the time to talk to you, because all of that can make a massive difference in your own mental health. And I think I guess at the end of the day, all of this is just caring for your mental health, and I don't think enough of us are doing that. Not because we don't want to, or because we don't think it's important, but because we either just don't have the time or we don't have the resources available. So if we can just kind of zero in on the things that are working for us and where we'd like to improve, having a community of people that aren't necessarily your chat, but like an even closer community of people that can relate to what you're dealing with, can be extremely helpful.
Mm.
Yeah.
100%, 100%. Like forging relationships and having people to rely on, and who like can lean on you and you can lean on them in the Twitch ecosystem is huge. Like having those friends, having those bonds, being able to like, and another big thing with that as well, to springboard off that, to yoink your expression about springboarding, um, like it's easy to fall into self doubt when you're streaming, and that can lead to burnout. You can think, is my content good enough? Like, am I doing this right? Am I doing that right? As Condi said with the viewer numbers, like some people can sit there and just have the viewer numbers showing and it just doesn't affect them. And I envy those people.
Mm-hmm.
And I envy them. They're going to walk out in a rainstorm and it's just going to slide off them. They'll be perfectly dry. But for a lot of us, it's not possible to do that. It's good to look at your metrics and stuff after a stream. Like, I find that's really helpful to separate that and then look back and go, okay, so where was it good? Where was it bad? What was happening at these times? But being able to bounce feedback, like honest feedback from people you trust and people who understand the Twitch ecosystem and the Twitch verse. I can't believe I just said the word Twitch verse, but understand that sort of the culture of Twitch. Like having that honest friends, you can kind of say, "Hey, I'm struggling. I'm not sure my content's doing well. I'm getting burnt out because of this." Sometimes just you can go to your friends and be like, "I think I'm garbage," and they'll just turn around and be like, "Look, you're getting in your own head. We all do it. Here's my honest opinion. Here's what I think you can do better. Here's what you're doing great that you're not noticing you're doing." Like having that, those friends and that support in place is a huge part as well. Like Twitch, especially when you're starting out with streaming, it can be very lonely. Like if you've literally just started and you're sat there and you've got just a couple of viewers, and like it can be quiet at times, and it can leave a lot of time to start questioning yourself, especially when you're live. Um, Even as your stream grows, like you'll have those moments where like it just like will click in your head and you'll be like, was that dumb? What am I doing wrong? Being able to go to people and have those honest conversations and get that honest, constructive feedback will be a huge thing as well. Like, don't be afraid to like lean on your friends and be there to support them as well at the same time. Like, Twitch is a social thing, and that's definitely one of the things you can 100% rely on.
For sure.
And one thing I would say off of that is, plenty of times people on social media see someone going through a hard time, and plenty of well-meaning people, and they mean it in the moment. They absolutely, I don't question the authenticity of anyone, but they will reply to say, I'm here if you ever want to chat. The thing is, if you ever say that to anyone, you got to be there for them if they do reach out.
Mm-hmm.
I've been in the position where I've been going through something, and people, they drop the comment, and I heart it, or I like it, or I give it a thumbs up, or what have you, and then I test the water later, and they don't really have the time, or they weren't really looking for the deep discussion. um that's that can be okay. You just have to then know that, like, this isn't necessarily the person in the future that you want to like go to. If you gotta feel out your base of support. Everyone means well. People who want to support you are going to say, I'm here for you, here's a hug, bro, or like I'm always here if you want to chat. But if you ever say that, you really got to be there for when that person needs to chat, because like, sometimes you don't want it to just be sort of a token statement of support. And I'm not saying that it ever is, but like, you got to be ready for the hard moments. And there's there are points where self-doubt will drive you to just want to pack it all up, burn it down, and start over, and or do something that's rash. And you need those people there who can kind of walk you back from the edge and be like, well, maybe we just take a moment and, take stock of where we're at, and maybe we don't just set it all on fire right now. Um, and you need people like that in your life. Um, but another thing too with motivation is this is a marathon. It's not a sprint. Um, it When I started talking to my wife about doing this more frequently and more consistently, um, she equated it, rightly so, I think, to that of like starting a business. Businesses, typically, when you start one, you have to plan to have a net loss in revenue for the first few years. You're going to put more work into it than you get out of it. You're going to work harder to not see much turnover, and it takes time to build a footprint, and to have a foundation to stand on, from which you can expand and reach out, to new viewers, other people who are in the same field as you, and just to establish a presence. um, with your schedule, again, it's a marathon. Don't commit to 6 days a week streaming if you can't commit to 6 days a week streaming. Don't commit to 8-hour streams if you can really only do 4-hour streams. You can always start small and build up, but feeling like you got to start big and go hard from the start is a surefire recipe for disaster later, because no one is going to have that much fuel in the tank. No one's Everyone will be blindsided by things that can't be prepared for, emergencies that will arise, and it it's those things that can really send you spinning if you say to yourself, well, I've got to do this, and then you don't do it, and then the doubt kicks in, and then you find yourself spiraling. It's a marathon. You gotta low and slow and steady is going to suit you so much better than just feeling like, well, I gotta pump out 5 YouTube videos. Like, just, I don't know, expectations, and make them reasonable.
Yeah, I have a couple points on that. So, like, first of all, what you're saying, like having the friends on there that are gonna, give you rational thoughts and feedback, absolutely massive. I'm so glad that I've got like you guys, for example, to bounce these ideas off and things like that. Like, we in our group chat, we're constantly talking about new ideas for videos and what's good, what's not good, and I mean, just like I said, I've had the last couple of days was in a kind of a bad spot with like just really low confidence, right? Like I felt like I was doing a bad job, streams weren't going well, whatever, right? And Kibbles and Grog had just jumped into a Discord call with me, and we just sat and played video games for like an hour and just talked about it, and it made such a big difference, made me feel so much better.
Technically, Grog and I played video games. And
I just watched,
You
I just hung out,
installed.
but like that like hour that we were in a Discord call makes a huge difference, right? I woke up today feeling much more motivated, much more energized, and ready to come back. And it's the same. I see all of us will post questions or things we're not sure about or anything like that into our group chat and talk about it. And I think we've got a good culture, certainly within our group here, of supporting each other, and I like to think I'm the same with other people. If they've got issues with their stream or anything like that, I'm happy to talk about it. I'm happy to try and help where I can. I'm no expert, but it makes a big difference, right? And I think something like motivation and burnout and stuff like that, it's important to remember that it is okay to have a break. As chat is saying here, we're all human, we have limits, and sometimes I feel like the motivation, it goes beyond that, and people don't realize. Like, I'm certainly guilty of this. Like, I love Twitch, right? Like, I watch Twitch constantly. I like to stream as much as I can, and I'm always thinking about what can I do for my next stream, what content can we do, what new emotes could we do, what all these different things. But you just sometimes can't keep up with how much you want to do. So it's very important to know that it's okay to take a break. It's okay to take a day or two off if you really need it. It's better for you than to go on stream and put out a bad content, right? Like today, me raging at Valorant, right? Maybe not the best content ever, but it's you need to know when you're in that right mental state to do so. A big thing that sticks with me, and this is so cheesy and dumb, right? But so I use a player called Pretzel, which we talked about last week for copyright-free music. Every day I pop it up, it has a little quote at the top, right? And it's just like, sometimes it's like a little inspirational quote, sometimes it's like a little funny joke, whatever. But every time I pop it up, it comes up with this little joke. And one that it stuck with me really, really well was, It said you don't have to beat the competition, you just have to outlast them, right? Now, I don't agree with thinking of other streamers as competition, right? We're
And then
colleagues.
you can eat their hearts after and gain their powers and followers.
Are you
But-
also a Wendigo? Cool.
I like to think of, on this platform, you're not, I mean, it's tough, right? You're not competing with people, right? I like to think, if we're all raising the platform of Twitch, rising tide lifts all boats, right? We're all working together. We all generally, for the most part, have the same goals, and that's fine. But sometimes you don't have to be the best. You just have to last longer and keep going without, giving up. A lot of people, I think I saw somewhere that like 90% of streamers on Twitch will quit within the first month or something like that, right? Because people want to stream and then they realize like it's a lot of work if they want to actually grow it and do everything like that, and people will stop, right? Because it's as we all know, it can be a very difficult thing to do. But the important thing is if you stick at it and you keep going, you'll get there, right? Like, I never thought I would ever be in a position where we'd have a podcast, where people want to talk to us and people would listen to it, right? But like, it takes time and effort, and if you just keep going, you'll get there. So like, take a break. If you're burnt out, take a break. It's better to do that than to keep going and then quit completely. You know what I mean? I think that's my thoughts on it. We got anything else on the topic of motivation or burnout or anything like that?
Mental health comes first. Like, just as a sort of roundup point, like 100%. Make sure you're taking care of yourself. Make sure you're not burning yourself out. And enjoy it. Again, just double down on that. Enjoy the journey. Like, don't. Again, cheesy quote. It's about the journey, not the destination.
100%.
If you're all focused on goals or like doing something, like, you'll miss out on the important part of what streaming is, which is the experience along the way.
And I would say, as an adjunct to that, as that experience progresses, as you are on that journey of figuring out what's working, try to take stock of the new things that you encounter that excite you and the new people that excite you, because you might start out here, point A, and think, well, I'm going to get to point C, and that's going to be my destination, and I want to hit it big, and I want to this, and this. But as you're doing it, you may encounter interesting persons, interesting personalities, interesting games. Allow yourself to be exposed to new things and be open to opportunities which might steer you in a slightly different path. If you start out in like, I'm only a like an MMO RPG, like skill tree, super meta build focus kind of game player, and then like later you play a wholly different kind of title and you love the shit out of it, you can shift. Like, you can do both. You can incorporate both things. Or if you encounter a personality either in your chat or someone who is already doing content in another channel, and you see something and you're like, it really connects with you and there is a spark, chase that down, see where it goes. If somebody else is doing a thing that is you find inspiring or motivational, let that inspire you. Don't be so rigid in feeling like I must be this way or I must be that way to see the success happen, because I've planned out this very rigid roadmap and I can't deviate from that. Give yourself the opportunity to experiment and recognize that it is that journey and that there will be unexpected things that happen along the way. Some of them will be bad, and some of those things that are bad happen to everybody. We all will have streams where, your power goes out, or you will all have streams where, somebody says something really toxic in the chat and it upsets your sort of the emotional cord that you've maintained for yourself. If it throws you off and you're like, you know what, I got to end stream early today because that's just what's going to be good for me. And, you were really thrown by something that came up in the context of gameplay or in the context of the chat, like, allow yourself to just do that and know that it's okay. All of it, flexibility is going to be important throughout the process. And I think burnout tends to become more and more amplified when you're far too rigid and your expectations that you're holding for yourself or the expectations that are set for you by others. You just gotta, yeah, be kind to yourself.
True. Huge. All right. Well, I think that basically covers everything that we've got here. So we are gonna go ahead and wrap up here. I just want to say a big thank you to everyone who's watching live. We do we're completely open to answering viewer questions in future. Again, like I say, if you think of anything during the week, you can either write it down and bring it to the stream or tweet at us, whatever is easiest. We will try and get to it. So just to wrap up, first of all, Grog, where can everyone find you, and what have you got going on this coming week?
People can find me on Twitter at gamer_grog. I will post there sometimes, just musings about stuff. I'll repost like interesting content from elsewhere, and I'll also give updates for my Twitch channel, which is twitch.tv/just_grog. I also have a YouTube channel, which is just_grog. I need to start creating more content for that. I do streams on Sundays after the podcast, usually around 2. We'll probably be doing some Warzone, I'd imagine, but I'm really excited for doing more streams with my wife because they have gone really, really well, and it's something that's completely different for the channel, and people seem to like it. It does trouble me a little bit that people want to see less of me and more of her and our dog.
It's totally
because
understandable.
I feel like I'm getting edged out of my own channel, but I have to grow and adapt and accept that maybe I'm less important than they are on the channel, so maybe I incorporate them more. We'll see. But yeah, things are going good. We'll probably keep playing Warzone throughout the week.
Excellent. Thank you. All right, Kibbles, where can everyone find you? What you got going on?
You can find me on Twitch, YouTube, and TikTok at The Mighty Kibbles, at Twitter at The Mighty Kibbles. And then I am streaming Monday through Saturday, doing a lot of Warzone, doing God of War, watch parties on Saturday mornings. And yeah, I've got a video coming out later today. I think 30 minutes. Wait. Hour and a half from now.
Nice. All right, looking forward to it. Java, same stuff.
So you can find me on Twitch and Twitter at JavaMonkey_. Pretty much the plan for this week, doing some Monster Hunter Monday, and then bunch of Valorant, maybe Condy, bunch of Valorant.
Yeah, I'm always down.
I'll be getting into the newest expansion on Final Fantasy 14 this week. I'm finally caught up on that game, so I will most likely be playing that an awful lot, trying to grind through all of that. So yeah, that's pretty much my plans for the week. And
awesome.
also, Condy, I think we can tease the fact that there's a potential Civilization game coming soon.
Yes. Yeah, we were
Valorant
talking
servers.
Yeah,
prepare to just throw your life away.
Oh yeah. So Valorant servers are down from the 28th till the 2nd, and Connie and I realized that we've pretty much been doing Valorant non-stop. And we're like, what could we possibly do instead? What could we possibly find as an alternative option? Fortunately, huge brain moment. 12 hours of uninterrupted Civilization. Coming to Twitch near you. Keep your eyes peeled.
You guys want a long
you
stream?
say 12, and then it becomes a 24-hour stream because you've lost. Oh, just one more turn. Just one more turn.
But again, we're setting a reasonable expectation for a Civ stream, and then we're going to exceed it because we're going to be having too much fun.
Exactly. Yeah, no, I think that would be super fun. I want like a whole day committed to just Civ, like the whole day.
Oh, it's going to be amazing.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Cool, thank you. Yeah, so I'm Condyfly. You can find me on Twitch, twitch.tv/Condyfly. Also on YouTube, Condyfly. Twitter is Condyfly with an extra Y for reasons. And yeah, we actually, so I uploaded 2 videos in the past week on YouTube, but I'm nowhere near releasing another one, so there's going to be weird consistency there, but I'm going to try and get a video out this coming week. At some point, I'm probably most likely going to be doing a lot more Valorant. I do want to jump back into Destiny a little bit, so we'll see what happens there. Maybe some more trials tomorrow. But yes, most important thing, if you're listening to any of the audio versions, come and watch the podcast live. Twitch.tv/ZeroStrategyPodcast. We do live stream it almost every single week if we can. And if you have any questions for us, that's the best place to come and ask. Alternatively, you can follow us on Twitter at ZeroStrategyPod and tweet us any questions or anything that you want us to discuss. Thank you very much for all the live viewers. Make sure you go and follow all these gentlemen here. We are going to raid somebody if you care to stick around and partake in that, that would be wonderful. Other than that, we have a YouTube channel. We have group videos. When did we upload the last one? It was not in the last week. Was it?
Yeah.
Well,
Was it?
we have a couple group channel videos. So we
I'm
upload
gonna
all our
be editing
podcasts.
one, so maybe
Yes.
that's the end of this week.
We upload all the podcast VODs to the YouTube channel, so people can actually see if they want to do that. But we also have been working on some other content just for fun that's up there. So check it out. Hopefully you'll enjoy it. We have more coming. But yeah,
Also, a shout out to our panelists who are part of the Zero Strategy Gaming family who could not be here today. The Cyber Project, That Guy Cod, and Sir Humps.
Yeah, absolutely. They're all, we try and rotate people in and out as much as possible. So sometimes there's lots of us, sometimes there's not so many, but I feel like it works.
Sometimes I'm not
There's
here
gonna
for
be
like
20.
5 straight months. It happens.
But hey, thank you very much, anybody that has been watching. We are going to go and raid someone. We will see you next week. Yeah, take it easy. Have a good week, guys. Thank you.
Bye.